Print email Facebook Twitter More funeral killer jailed for 12 years, given lifetime driving ban after car attack on mourners. A Cape York man who killed a woman when he drove a car into a house full of mourners at his wife's funeral in Kawanyama in 2016 has been sentenced to 12 years in prison and banned from driving for life. Gary Paul Hudson, 57, had been charged with the murder of one of the mourners, 48-year-old Delan Zingle. He denied murdering Ms. Zingle, but pleaded guilty to manslaughter last Friday. A Supreme Court jury, after 20 minutes of deliberation, found Hudson not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter. Hudson had also pleaded guilty to 8 counts of dangerous driving causing grievous bodily harm. The funeral was for Hudson's wife and partner of 2 decades, Catherine George, whom he had cared for during her 15-month battle with cancer. Hudson was angry that Ms. George's body had been taken to her sister's house, despite a different arrangement being agreed at mediation earlier that day. In sentencing, Justice Jim Henry labeled Hudson's actions as self-indulgent and told him he had caused a catastrophic and lasting impact on his victims and the community. Your reaction smacked not only of feelings of grief, upset, anger and betrayal, but they also have smacked of extraordinary self-indulgence, selfishness, a complete disregard, really, for the safety and well-being of anyone other than yourself, he said. If you had kept control, the sun would have still come up the next day, you would still have had a dead wife, you would have known you'd taken the high moral ground and acted with dignity. Delan Zingle would still be alive. Justice Hudson said the mode of offending involved extraordinary violations of the sanctity of the house and property by driving a Land Cruiser into and through the walls of the house, twice. It disrupted the solemn ceremony occurring, to the extent that your driving smashed open your dead wife's coffin, spilling her body on the floor. Then, surely not blind to the carnage you just wrought, you repeated the entire process a second time. As hard done as you may have been, your extraordinary overreaction to that has resulted in lasting, catastrophic impact on an enormous number of people, he said. He used a vehicle as a weapon in his closing address to the jury on Friday. Prosecutor Nigel Rees said it was a calculated and deliberate act intended to kill or do grievous bodily harm to those in the house. He deliberately gets into his vehicle, he buckles up, and he uses that vehicle as a weapon, he said. Defense barrister Joshua Trevino said Hudson, fragile and grieving, was subjected to extraordinary provocation and his anger overwhelmed him. Hudson and Ms. George's family each wanted the viewing of her body at their respective houses, and ended up at mediation the morning of the funeral, during which Ms. George's family demanded all her white goods, then all her possessions as well as her body. They agreed the body would be viewed at the morgue before they went to the church, but pallbearers took Ms. George's body to her sister's house at the family's behest. The court heard Hudson saw the hearse heading to the house and drove over, telling those inside, "You told me a lie." 3 witnesses reported hearing Ms. Zingle tell Hudson to F off. Hudson was heard to respond, "I'll be back," after which he got in the vehicle and crashed through the fence and the front of the house. Print email Facebook Twitter